Thank you. I'd like to now move on to the next question. I have a number of questions here regarding specifically downtown St. Paul that I'd like to address. And I would ask Chris Coleman to be the first to address this question. St. Paul has vacancy issues in the downtown area and needs to be positioned to thrive in the economic recovery we all hope to see. What is your plan for revitalizing St. Paul's downtown?
Well, that's a great question, and I appreciate it. There are a lot of components to making a downtown core successful. You have to bring businesses into your community. We have done that. We just recently announced that 320 jobs with Cray Computer are coming into downtown St. Paul, taking 60,000 square feet of office space in what will soon be called Cray Plaza. It used to be called Galtier Plaza. We're bringing Microsoft, think about that, Microsoft Computer, that can go anywhere in this region, has decided to come into downtown St. Paul. We've seen the expansion of Gov Delivery, which is an incredibly important, fast-growing computer company, high-tech company, and those are the kinds of jobs that we're going to continue to expand. Bringing Central Corridor and high-speed rail to Chicago are going to be critical to bringing in success into downtown St. Paul. Having a thriving nightlife. The fact that we've been able to open up 12 new restaurants and bars in downtown St. Paul in the last couple of years, in the worst economic time that this country has faced since the Great Depression, is one of the things that helps people bring their businesses there. It doesn't happen overnight, but the fact of the matter is the old phrase that downtown St. Paul is dead. And 2 weeks ago, there was a story in the Minneapolis paper, as I referenced earlier, that says downtown St. Paul is the new hotspot. It's a long-term strategy about bringing jobs, about bringing people to live downtown, people to play downtown. Go downtown right now. The Wild are about to start their new season. And look at what the vibrancy of that community. It's changing. It's changing because we're making a concerted effort to get there.
Thank you. EvaNg, same question.
Well, we were talking about growing the tax base downtown, so it's very important that we bring jobs downtown. And what we need to do is we take some of those vacant office spaces we have downtown, and we create an entrepreneur incubation system where we take a vacant building, we put in the necessary office equipment, maybe staff it with clerical people, and we create some marshal the resources for entrepreneurs and put them in the building and lease it out to small micro businesses that are promising upstarts that we screen ahead of time, and then we'll just charge them a few $100 for a small office, and so we'll just let them go at it and let them grow, and as they grow, they will grow jobs and they will create a new economy. And not only do we have to do that, we've got to market downtown. We've got to have a dedicated staff that markets downtown and our businesses to people that are outside of the city, either within the state or outside the state, and we need to bring in businesses that will call this place home, call St. Paul home for a long time to come. So that way we can create jobs, create demand for office space vacancies, and then we also create demand for the housing market and then heat up the economy.
Chris Coleman, 1 minute rebuttal.
Well, I appreciate because we're doing a lot of those things, and it's pretty interesting that we've been able to make the kind of strides that we have. The fact that we worked really, really hard, you can't even believe the amount of time and the effort that went into bringing in a Cray Computer, because we knew it was critically important. So we worked with them, we went out to their company, I met with them personally. At the end of the day, the mayor of the city of St. Paul has to be personally engaged in this, and I have been. I would call the CEO up and I would say, here's my cell phone number, if you need anything from us, let us know. If there's anything that my staff can do. We put a business liaison in our office in the Planning and Economic Development Department so that we could work with small businesses very specifically to help figure out what their needs are and what their resources were available, helping them grow, helping them figure out how they can settle in St. Paul. So all the things that we were doing, I think, are really we're starting to see these seeds actually start to bloom, and we certainly saw that this last summer with the major announcements that we were able to bring those jobs into St. Paul.
EvaNg, 1 minute, please.
I'd like to rebut that. With all deference to the efforts that you have put in, Mayor Coleman, but we lost 13,000 jobs this year as of June. So the 320 jobs we created at Cray doesn't even make a dent in the jobs that are being lost. And by the way, the economic development department that we have spends about $20 million a year, 19.7 to be exact. There is not a one-to-one return on investment for what we're paying.
Thank you. I'd like to move on to the third question. We're playing a bit of gymnastics with our topics this evening. We're bouncing from the downtown to our neighborhoods. If EvaNg would be the first to address this next question. How will you prioritize the efforts of the City of St. Paul to keep our neighborhoods safe as crime in some areas is increasing and budgets are being cut?
I looked at the amount of money that we do spend on our police staff and how much police staff we have. We spend almost $100 million on our police staff and roughly 800 and something complement in full-time employees in that department. We have about 660 police, and I measured it against some of the safer cities in the United States, and one of them is Tucson. And in Tucson, we have 1.9 police persons to 1,000 residents, whereas in St. Paul, we actually have 2.2 police persons to 1,000 residents. So we do have police, but however, how are they working? This is something a consultant would look at. You know, are they spending all their time in the office doing paperwork? Are they not being present outside? We have pockets of crime, especially in the east side and the north side, that is disconcerting. And I do understand that there are some crimes that are not reported because they have to fit a certain category in order to be reported. So some of that is kind of going not the way we want it to go. So I think as a consultant, I would go in there and find out what are they doing? Are we doing best practices in the police? And are the police visible enough instead of pushing paper? While I was answering this question one time, there was a policeman in the audience, and he did say that there was a problem with them pushing too much paper and not doing the neighborhood work they ought to be doing.
Thank you. Chris Coleman, same question.
Well, thank you. I agree 100% that doing a best practices audit of the police department is a good idea, and that's why we did it 2 years ago. The police department is the largest budget in the city of St. Paul. It is close to $90 million right now, and it had never been examined to really figure out if we were doing what we needed to do, to figure out whether we were spending our money wisely, whether we were deploying our officers correctly, whether there was the correct management to line officer ratio. And so we went through that, and we were able to discover a lot of, I think, important information about how we were deploying our resources. One of the key findings was that we needed some additional officers, that for the city our size, we needed 630 officers, ideally, to continue the great community policing work that we have done in the city of St. Paul. How we deployed them was going to be critical, but one of the things that the audit identified was that because of our computer system being so outdated, that we were unable to really efficiently deploy our officers. A lot of the paper pushers in the office were simply there trying to figure out the payroll system. That's one of the reasons why we have moved forward with our new computer system, because it would allow us to more efficiently deploy our officers. Numbers of officers to numbers of citizens is a misleading statistic a little bit, just because in New York there are 8 officers per every citizen. In San Diego there's almost 1 officer per 1,000. It's 8 officers per 1,000 or 1 officer per 1,000. But that doesn't necessarily reflect crime rates. It's about what you can do with those officers.
Thank you.